opponent has 10 seconds, as fast as Firouzja is, play the clock as well as the game. And we've got, no surprise there, another Italian. Wesley has white. Firouzja starts with 3 minutes and 40 seconds. And here we go. Mainline Italian.
If you are Wesley and this h6, g5 stuff comes up, do you sacrifice the piece because Alireza doesn't have enough time to calculate? Or we just have to remember that it's no longer a bullet. 3 minutes, even if you're down on time, is plenty of time to work with.
I think it's the latter, and that actually makes it very hard to adjust. You just played something like 50 minutes of bullet chess. You've kept one eye on the clock for the last hour. Suddenly, you can slow down, you can breathe. There's no increment, but that doesn't mean that you have to blitz out moves. And a case in point, Firouzja with a big decision here, Robert. Does he take the bishop? Does he go bishop b6? He keeps the status quo by dropping the bishop back to b6, as is so typical in these Italian positions.
Right, there's a stare down of bishops, but if you take on e3, after f takes e3, there's some pressure down the king side, the queen sliding e1 and out on that diagonal. So look at black just playing solidly. I like it how quickly Wesley's playing. He's kept the initial time advantage.
Although the position is quite symmetrical, I like this choice for Wesley because the position is also open-ended. This promises a long middle game, and this promises a middle game as Firouzja forces the exchange of bishops, but in return, it costs him a potential tempo, and it costs him control of the center. It will force black to make a lot of hard decisions in the next couple of moves, and we're finally getting, Robert, some sort of direct confrontation between the armies as Wesley pushes d4.
Yeah. This pawn on d4 is well defended. You'd like to play b4 and expand to the queen side, but then you have to contend with e takes d4, and the b4 pawn might be loose, but there are queen b3 tactics in the air. So this needs to be thought of. It can't just be played without using your calculation skills. In Wesley, he might expand with this b4 push.
Queen b3 itself was a low-risk move, but then you would have run into knight a5 related ideas. So he does play on the queen side, but he does it a little bit differently. He establishes a bishop on this very nice square. Notice that black can no longer play a6 because he took on b6 with a pawn. That is the drawback of the exchange on b6. The strength of it for black is that he's got this long-term pressure with his rook on the a4 pawn without the rook having made a single move, as Firouzja tries to trade another pair of minor pieces. And the more the position simplifies, the easier it becomes to play quickly for black, who's brought this time advantage down to 40 seconds.
That's huge because Firouzja is the faster player between the two of them. But Wesley, he has the type of position that he typically is able to win games, even from equal positions. He just maneuvers, he just gets a little plus here, the knight gets an f5 first. But Daniel, there isn't too much happening just yet.
There isn't too much going on, and black is definitely maybe a tiny bit worse because of his damage structure, but if you showed Firouzja this position and said, this is what you're going to get after 18 moves, I think he would be relatively... 5th rank, and that might win the game. Wesley can win with the knight takes g7, and he found it.
Wow, he finds it, because b4 kicks the rook off the 5th rank, and the knight h5 check is devastating. What a tactical spot from Wesley So.
Oh my lands, girl, and how crazy is it, Robert, that there isn't a single square, not one, on the 5th rank that the rook can move to. He's got to allow knight f5. Firouzja keeps the game going, though. He's going to try some sort of sacrifice on g2 to force a perpetual check.
Oh, and that's scary. Knight f5, check, the king moves back, queen f6, rook g2, there's king h1 maybe in some of these positions.
There's also king g2 and king g3, and I think he escapes the checks, but it might be... Wait, Robert, 20 seconds for Alireza. No increment. He's got to move.
And if rook takes g2 is played and doesn't work, it loses on the spot. So that means that Firouzja, who's down to 14 seconds, he is not going to be able to find a way out of this.
And Wesley should trade queens. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. Trade queens, flag him.
Can he just go queen d8 check, queen d8, queen takes c7, and then rinse and repeat?
I wouldn't. I would only be looking at my opponent's clock, but he is playing this objectively. Careful now. This is lost. King f3. There's no check. There is no perpetual here. No way. No way there's a perpetual.
There's only a check on e2 after the king went to f3. Instead it goes to g3, and now there are no more checks. That means the game is Wesley's. There's a resignation, and Wesley So breathes for the first time since the 5+1 time.
That's exactly right. And he deserves a breath because Wesley So has just delivered on a must-win arm.